Hi, and thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SalesFusion Web Forensics. We're going to be taking a look at the tracker and some of the maps and some of the options that you have to look at as we're gathering information about your website. Now, when you signed up with SalesFusion, you were given a particular tracking code to place on your website, and by placing that code on your website enables us to track known and unknown visitors that come and browse on your website. You are able to use it across multiple websites. If you have a sister company or if you have some microsites or a blog and you have access to the source code, you can take that analytics code and put it anywhere you like. When you're looking at the Web Forensics, the first area you're going to be drawn to is the tracker. And this is in real-time information about who is on your website or who has been on your website within the past 24 hours. You can see that you'll have quite a bit of information, and then you're also having some missing information, and we're going to talk about that as we go through the different columns that are available. I'd like to first point out that this does limit it to the last 1,000 web hits. If we go over that, it tends to time out, and we don't want that to happen to our customers. So if you have a very, very busy website and you have 3,000 people headed in one day, we are only going to show you for the latest 1,000 people. Now, before we get into the pages and the detail, I first want to talk about the different columns that we're viewing here. Now, the first one is called Web ID, and with Web ID, it is the person's unique browsing session ID that they are assigned when they begin a new session. So if I go to your website right now, I would get assigned a particular Web ID. If I end my session, close out my browser, and go back to your website later on, I would be assigned a new unique Web ID. The organization can be a couple of different things. It could very well be an ISP. You can see here that we have SureWest Broadband. That is an internet service provider, meaning that we don't have a static IP that we can do a reverse IP lookup on and give you an organization name. I work from home. If I were to go to your website, it would show up as Comcast Cable. If I go to the office and I go to your website, it would show up as SalesFusion Offices. We do a reverse IP lookup, so with every visitor that is on your website, they have a unique IP address, and we take that, do a reverse IP, and see if anybody is registered with that. And usually it's just static IPs that are registered. You can see that this one here is an actual organization. It is Bregman and Howman. That means that they probably have a static IP, so that when we do that reverse IP lookup, we get an actual organization. Over here, we have an email column, and the email column is going to show you an email if the person has a cookie on their machine that we have placed. Let's say that we integrate with your database and we pull down 30,000 records. Well, if any of those 30,000 people go to your website right at that point, we're not going to be able to show you their email address. Yes, we have their email address in our system, and yes, they are on your website, but we have not married the two informations together. We don't know that that web session goes with that particular email address. A person can be tagged or cookied from our system in two different ways, technically three. The first common way that somebody gets cookied is by engaging with an email campaign sent from within our system. You send an email campaign that contains a link back to a page containing our web script, we're going to cookie that person. The reason for that is because we encode all of our email campaigns for that particular recipient, so when they click on it, they immediately get a cookie. The second common way for a cookie to be placed is through the dialogues. If you're using the SalesFusion dialogues in a contact us form, or sign up for a newsletter, or a survey, or download our white paper, every time somebody hits submit, we get a cookie on their machine. So that when they come back to your website, this is when we're going to be able to tell you, hey, guess what? Here is their email address. We know who that person is. Even if they're coming from an ISP, you're still going to be able to see their email address, and we will be looking at it as a contact lead rather than an account. If I'm cookied, I would still show up with Comcast Cable, but you would still see my email address here. The third way that a person could be cookied, but it's not very common, is let's say that you are on the phone with a prospect, and you have the prospect go to your website, and immediately you would see them appear on here. If you're on the phone with them and you know their email address and you know that's them, you can scroll down here and click on Tag User. And then you can say, I know that this is person@company.com, and tag the user. And you are manually placing a tag on their computer. The cookies will stay on their computer until they clear their cookies, and not too many people know to do that. So the cookie does end up staying there for quite some time. You have your session start data. This is when they first entered your website. You have a keyword. Sometimes it will be blank. Sometimes it will have a keyword. It depends on if they came in through a search engine or not. You have your source. Source is a field that is proprietary to SalesFusion. We have our own rules and regulations that control what we deem the source to be. For example, organic with Google AdWords or Google Analytics is something different than what we consider organic. What we consider organic is somebody manually typing in your particular website address. So if they typed in salesfusion.com or company.com and got to your website, that is considered to be organic. We also have external links. External links are commonly coming from third-party websites, or let's say that you have a link on a partner's page to your website. They click on that link and they go to your website. That's an external link. Also considered an external link would be your social media sites. You have a link to your website on your LinkedIn. Somebody clicks on it from LinkedIn. That's an external link. We also have search. This is just a regular search where, again, we're showing you the keywords. And if you are running any PPC ads, you would also see paid search if they came in through a paid search. We also have email campaigns here. You can see that this person received an email campaign from our system, clicked to our website from that email campaign, and that's how we're able to determine that's the source. We also have the city. We also have the region, which could be a state or it could be a particular region code. We have a country. And then we also have a feature over here called chat. And as of right now, chat is not available to any of the users. This was a feature that we had back in the day, and we wanted to take it offline, refine it, and we hope to release it again next year. It is something that is a neat feature to have. Basically, you can have somebody monitoring this area and have them click on this, and it will give that visitor a pop-up on their screen asking them if they wish to engage with you. They can either close it out or they can write you back asking any questions. Again, this is not available at this time. It is something that we are looking at upgrading and making bigger and better in the coming year. Now that we have our basic information over here, let's go ahead and take a look at the pages in the detail, which is definitely some good information. So I'm going to go ahead and let's click on this one here, and let's look at the pages. So right now, I can tell that this person, this was their interaction date. This was the page that they actually visited, and you can see that it's a link. If you don't know what this page is, you can click on it, and it will actually take you to that particular web page. We also have the host name, the path, the parameters, and the duration. The duration, you need to know a couple things about it. The way we track the duration is the time spent from page to page. So if a person only touches one page on your website, it's going to automatically default to 180 because they didn't touch another page for us to track that time in between. If they go to page 2, and then they go to page 3, and they go to page 4, and then they close out the browsing session, the very last page that they touch is going to default to 60 because, again, we aren't able to see what they look at after that. Here's a good example. You can see that it's not 180 because they did transition to a second page. They spent 40 seconds on this page, and then they touched this page, and this was the last page that they touched. Some great information here for you. Another thing that I'd like to point out on this is a lot of times people have our analytics code on different websites. You have it on company.com, and then you have it on company1.com and company2.com. By default, our canned reports, our tracker, our analytics, we're going to throw all of those websites together into one, and we're going to report on all of them. But commonly, people want reports where they can separate out, one website from another to see how they are doing separately. When creating that report, this is what you're going to be querying on and filtering on to divide up the websites, which is called host name, and you would see, salesfusion.com or dialogues.salesfusion.com. It's great information. You will be using it later on if you're not using it right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the detail. So the detail is where we can get even more specific information about this particular visitor. Now, obviously, we have the organization. We have the ISP. She's using, Cogenco, host name, IP address, This is the IP address that we're doing the reverse lookup on. Start date, end date, time zone, browser, operating system. We're giving you as much information as we possibly can. In addition to that, you can scroll down. You can see that we have a start time and an end time. So I can change these dates. Again, you will still be limited to the latest 1,000 records. And then we also have some options down here. Now, admin view is just an option. If I uncheck that, you can see that my view can change slightly. If I go ahead and check that, you're going to see the information that appears again, which is email addresses. And view unknown. If I uncheck this, all of my activity where there is not an email address is going to disappear. So I uncheck it, and the only thing I'm left with is the people who have been on my website engaging that have an email address. And again, check it to bring it all back. We also have an export to Excel. This allows you to take all of this great activity and export it out to Excel. You can open a record directly from here. So let's say you want to look at Johanna and you want to see, find out some more information, if she's opened any emails. Click on her and then click on Open Contact, and it will take you into the Sales Fusion CRM contact record for you to get some more information. We also have an open account. Let's say that you don't want to open her record, but you want to open the Bregman and Hamann account record. Again, click on it and click on Open Account, and the account record will be open inside of the Sales Fusion CRM. We have email web activity. Let's say that you've been looking at this web activity and you find it intriguing and you want to forward it over to a sales rep who is in charge of the Canadian sales. It gives you the option to enter a subject line. I'm just going to type in "check this out." You can add an additional message. You can also CC the email to yourself, and then you can enter the email recipient. So I'm going to put in one of my associates in here. You can also separate with a semicolon if there's multiple people that you'd like to receive it, and click on Forward Web Activity. Show Detail. If you click on that, just again shows you the page detail, but instead of in a pop-up, it just puts it down here, and it gives you the pages and the detail together in one. Lastly, we have High Detail, which again, I just clicked on Show Detail. Now I click on High Detail, and it is gone. Let's go ahead and take a look at the interactive map. The interactive map is using Microsoft SilverLight. If you are not using this particular software, you will need to install it for the interactive map to work properly. What it does is it allows you to scroll pretty much through the globe and it shows you where your web as an interaction has come from. If you're a cool person, you'll really like this. I'm just going to take just a second for it to get going. While we wait on that, I'll go ahead and show you some of the other options. We also have a standard regular map. It's not interactive. You can't move it all over the place. Depending on how many visits you have will depend on how long it does take for it to come up. It does limit it to 200, so if you have more than that, it is going to have to filter through it. You can also set the date range. And if you hover over any of these links, it gives you a little bit of information about that particular record. I just happen to click on Johanna's again. You can see the refer, the keywords, the host name, email address, and organization. Great information. Let's see if our SilverLight has come up. Okay, and it looks like it has. Now, it looks very similar to the other map, but what I really like about this is I can drag and drop it. I can move it all around the place, and I get a very quick visual look at where I'm getting a lot of hits. For example, I can see down here that I have about 7 hits in India, and things are, lots of visits over here in the UK. And of course, you have your United States. And these you can, again, hover over and get some basic information. Our next area is the keyword cloud. The keyword cloud will give you, it's a visual way to see what your top keywords are. Obviously, the bigger the keyword is, the more hits that it has had from search engines. Sales Fusion, you can see we've had 44 hits today from it. Sales, Space Fusion has had 21. We've also had, Axiom Fire, Infinity Software, CRM Campaigns. You're also going to sometimes see some odd keywords in here. 610739. I have no idea what that is for and how it relates to Sales Fusion. However, we are simply reporting the keywords from the query string that we're getting back from the search engine, and sometimes they do report some odd things. Before we get off the call today, I'm going to show you how you can ignore some of these odd things. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy, make a note, 610739. I'm going to show you how you can ignore some of these weird ones. You're not going to get too many of them, but again, you do see that we have a few here, a few there, and there is a way to get rid of those so that you don't have to see them on here anymore. The next area over here is the locator. It just gives you a summary view of where your top countries and cities and states are. You can see country, obviously United States. From the past week, we've had 939 visits, India, United Kingdom. It's a really good way for your sales team to get a look and see where they need to focus their marketing efforts. If you're seeing a lot of hits in the UK and you don't have any partners out there yet, it's time to start looking for one. Same thing for the regions. You can see cities and states, and you can see top visits. So we're pretty popular in Mountain View, California. Come down here, you can see everything from Westfield, Wisconsin to Sarasota, Florida, and again, how many people from that particular city and state have actually touched it. It will show you for the past 7 days by default, but again, you are able to change the date range. The next area might take just a moment to load, and this is actually our new web dashboard. Again, it is using Silverlight, so if you still have not installed it, make sure you install that. We have about 4 or 5 reports that are using that application to render some dashboards. Now, this dashboard is similar yet different to the Web Analytic dashboard that you would receive up here inside the main dashboards tab. The web dashboard here has a cleaner feel. It also is a bit more interactive where you can click on it and dive in and get some deeper information regarding it. You can see that it does take just a moment to load because it is quite complex of a report, and looks like it's coming up here. Another very neat thing about this dashboard is you can actually change the colors of it. Similar to how our navigation ribbon, you can see I have a green ribbon. A lot of people will have the standard blue or silver. You can change the theme here. You can do a blue sky. I think there's one called steel, which is a deep gray. I'm using the movie, which is a black. There's also a sky, many, many different options for you to choose from to find something that's visually stimulating for you. It looks like it's still loading. Okay, you can see it's got 20% loaded. And mine's taking a little bit longer because I am using the GoToMeeting system, and that does tend to slow down the internet connection. This is actually going to be available to all customers this Saturday, which is December 3rd, 2011. So if you try to access it right now, you're not going to be able to, but after this Saturday, you should be able to go into your individual user securities and give yourself access to it. There we go. So you can see my report has now rendered, and you can see it's a very, very clean, fun-looking report. We have a total of 5 different reports. We have top 10 pages. Now, we do have top pages in the main dashboard for the Web Analytics, but it's showing you all top pages, all of your pages. This one is simply showing you top 10. Top 10 sources, top 10 keywords, refers, and then the last graph down here is actually comparing your Web Analytic history month by month from the previous year to the current year. So it's comparing 2010, you can see in blue, compared to 2011. If your current year is not higher than your previous year, then I would take a look at my website and possibly do some upgrades. The other thing that I mentioned is that this is interactive. So let me find one that's not going to take too long to render. Let's look at top 10 refers. So I can click on any of these here. I'm going to click on that one. It's going to give me a pop-up window, and it's going to look at those 98 people that have come in from that particular refer and give me some more information about them. I'm going to click on it again. Okay, there we go. You can also change the header and the row for fonts as well as background colors here. You can also change the format. So if you don't like the format, you can change it, and then you can also export it out, which is great information. Now again, my report is taking a little bit longer to render. There it is. You can see we have information such as start date, organization name, email address if we know it, refer domain, where are these people coming from, countries, keywords. This is all great information that prevents you from having to create your own custom report using our ad hoc report builder and create something quick, easy, export it, and you're done. Again, any of these can be clicked on. Keep in mind that if I were to click on this one, which is 4,358, it's going to take a moment for it to render. So please be patient with the report, but know that it will render. The last item that I want to show you and talk about is actually how to ignore those odd keywords. So that is under the Administration tab, under the 360 Admin, and when I scroll down, you're going to see that we have under Marketing Administration, Alias Web Keywords. When I click on that, you see a whole bunch of stuff here for us because we've already put stuff in here, but yours will probably be blank. You would simply create a new one, and you can have an action of ignore or substitute. Ignore will completely ignore that keyword completely. Substitute will say, okay, if it came across as an 18, we want it to substitute with the word Sales Fusion instead. I'm going to go ahead and do an ignore, and the one that I saw on there was called 610739. That obviously does not mean anything to me and cannot help me with, my SEO. So I'm going to hit save, and now it's going to be ignored. And it's going to be ignored on my keyword cloud, and it's also going to be ignored on my web tracker. This, again, is a new feature that will be released on December 3rd, 2011 as well. So don't try to do it now because you're not going to be able to see it. But after this Saturday, you will definitely be able to utilize this. As always, we have our Learning Management Center. This is where you can go and access our recorded videos. You can access our learning management, our tips and tricks, our best practices. Great information. If you've never been there before, make sure that when you click on it, you will need to register and create a new username and password for you to use each time. We also have our online help here, which is a great reference point when you're in the middle of doing something or need a quick answer about a feature, function, or question about our system. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.